Physical game like that, how thin is the margin of error down the stretch in those type of games?
Super thin. It was a very hard-fought game. Both teams battled. To me, it was a playoff-type atmosphere with the physicality. Again, but, you give up 11 offensive rebounds, and then you got to knock down free throws. Again, but they made some great plays down the stretch. You talk about Jalen, his isolations, and our guys continued to battle.
Your team has often talked about making defense its calling card, to play with the kind of physicality the majority of the night. What did you like about your team's defensive effort tonight?
Our ability to defend the right way. Obviously they score 102, but we were physical the entire night, and I liked our aggression. I liked our intensity. Again, but obviously it comes down to those small possessions, 11 offensive rebounds, and obviously we got to step in on the free throw line and make our free throws as well.
Jamal, I know there's 27 games left after this, but based on where you guys are at in the standings, how much of an expectation or a goal is the postseason for you guys?
I think we take it one game at a time. I think we just continue. We're going to have to do that. We'll look at it, and obviously it's there, but understanding that we don't want to get too far ahead versus just staying in the moment and competing every single time we step on the floor the right way. And obviously, in this situation, shooting 6 for 25, missing a couple free throws and giving up all 11 offensive rebounds, those are the possession games that, that we have to continue to get better at.
Jalen in that second unit, then Mo and Cole seem to have the hot hand there in the fourth. How do you find that balance of riding out the second unit versus getting them out of there and getting the starters back in?
It's a constant balance. Just trying to navigate the way the game's going. Who has the hot hand? Where we are defensively? Different matchups that are on the floor at the time. So just constantly looking at, talking to our assistants, making sure that we have the right matchups, and keeping guys fresh as much as possible.
Coach, this is Chris from 24 Flicks. Paolo seemed to have some battles in the first half. What adjustments did you make at the second half? Because it seemed much more aggressive on the inside.
Well, just making the quick and simple play, getting downhill, looking to attack. I think that was the biggest thing for him. Just making sure he put his head down and got to the rim. I think that was big. The way they were playing the pick and roll, sliding under a few, switching a few, and as he navigated through the screens, I thought it got better of him getting downhill.
Jamal, you mentioned this is like a playoff-like atmosphere, environment game. Just how important is it for this team to get these kind of experiences, especially when you guys do focus on, the last stretch of the season?
I think it's big. I think for this young team, being able to understand the level of physicality, the level of play in which, calls will be made or not be made, you have to learn to play through. You have to learn to stay tight and communicate with your teammates on what's going on during the game.
Okay. One more. Melissa?
Coach, Melissa Thomas, Florida National News. Kind of piggybacking off of that, obviously Markelle led in the scoring tonight, and he's one of the team leaders. Kind of talk about how he kind of spurs the guys on to continue to play as hard as they can.
I think just his joy and passion for the game, his level of intensity of understanding what needs to be done in any given situation. Obviously, you see how physically he can play, and then his ability to keep these guys together no matter what's going on in the game. He has a great voice within our huddles and on the court with these guys to be able to settle things down.
Markelle, in a tight physical game like that, just how thin is the margin of error in these type of games?
Huge. I think we had, in that fourth, a lot of second chance points that led to big time threes, multiple possessions throughout the game. But, a game like that and, coming closer to the second half of the season, it's very important. Every possession matters, and that's how it is in the playoffs. So, again, I think we got a good experience of that tonight, and we came up short, but I'm happy with the way we fought. But, again, a couple of mistakes that cost us big down the stretch.
Overall throughout the game, how pleased were you with the team's defensive activity? You talk about that all the time, being the team's calling card. How did you feel about that tonight?
I think it was big. I think we did a pretty good job of, putting a lot of pressure on their guys, picking up 94 feet, just making them work, trying to guard without fouling. Those guys are very good at drawing fouls and, doing what they do. But I think we did a pretty good job overall, of just competing and making it tough on them guys. And, again, it came to a stretch of, big-time offensive rebounds, a couple, kick-out threes, and a couple fouls down the end, but for the most part, I feel like we did a great job of just being locked in the whole game and just competing, even when they went on runs and just sticking with it.
In what ways have you seen the team maybe grow in terms of how you guys handle game situations now versus early in the season?
I think guys just really believe and we understand that, it's a game of runs and a lot of the time teams might go on runs, but, we understand what we have to do and how to execute down the stretch. And we try to do that to the best of our abilities. And again, every game is an opportunity to grow at that. And tonight we had a chance. We came up a little short, but again, we can learn from it and get ready for the next one.
Markelle felt like a playoff game tonight, given the crowd and everything. And where you guys are at in the standings now, how much of a goal or an expectation is it to get into the postseason for this team?
It's huge. That's what we're playing for, man. We're taking it one day at a time, of course, and just worry about that day. But I think everybody on this team and even the coaching staff and everybody, we believe that we can do something special this year, and we're all locked in on that. So again, we got a great chance to experience something like that tonight, and I think we all soaked it in. We're all, pretty upset that we lost, but we're satisfied with the competition level and the way we competed tonight.
Anything else for Markelle?
Yeah. Markelle, by the time you guys play the next game, the trade deadline will be behind you guys. I guess what's the message that you, maybe as a team leader, give to the team over these next, 43 hours?
Really, just focus on the team and winning, and whatever you can do to contribute to the team. I think at times like this, all you can do is control what you can control and continue to support each other, I think we all like each other. Some stuff is out of our hands right now, but I think we're all locked in right now and just trying to help this team win and focus on the next day, like I said.
Thanks,
All right, my brother.
What's up, buddy?
See you, my guy.
I didn't know you can dunk like that. Of course.
Mo, in a game like this, tight physical game down the stretch, just how thin is the margin of error in these type of games?
Man, in every game in this league is tough. It's crazy. It sucks to lose these ones because you feel like you're doing a good job all game, and you got to be so disciplined offensively because they pack the paint like that. Yeah, it sucks because you feel like you're up the entire game and then you lose, and it's kind of got to embrace it as part of the growing process.
Mo, how have you seen the team handle these late game situations differently from early in the season compared to now?
I think we're maturing, for sure. I think we've generally done a good job here so far. I remember games last year that we executed really well down the stretch and kind of turned games around last second. Even this year in Atlanta, even though we lost that game, but sometimes stuff just doesn't go your way. It's a game, you can't control everything. So I think everybody's very locked in, and I think we've done a pretty good job here in this organization so far to take care of late game situations.
Mo, felt like a playoff game tonight, given the atmosphere and where you guys are at in the standings right now. How much of a goal and expectation is it to get into the postseason?
Man, I always stay away from these questions for good reason. But obviously, as a competitor, of course you want to make the playoffs. What are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? You can talk about developing young players, but that's only going to happen if you play to win. And I think that group assembled in there, coaches and players, they want to win every night. So I would lie to you if that's not on my mind, on our mind, and if we weren't talking about that, of course. But I also won't be the player that says we have to do this and that in order to have a successful season, because I just don't think that's how sports work.
This last game the team plays before the trade deadline, if you can give us a little peek behind the curtain, what is that vibe like, playing the last game before, kind of the unknown happens?
Well, I was just thinking how I would answer that question when Markelle was asked. Of course it's weird. I think that's pretty natural for everybody. Everybody has a different way of dealing with it. Having been through that stuff, I've kind of limited myself from you guys. Honestly, I don't read anything. My friends, family knows they better don't send me anything. So I just try to live my life and try to forget about that stuff,
Mo, it seems like every time there's a loss that's close, it's always the answer is to lock in. That's what this team needs to do next, is to lock in further. But Coach Mo said it, Markelle said it, you've said it. This team is locked in, and today it seemed like the team was locked in the full time. So what's that next step for this team in order to turn a loss like this into a win?
Well, let's not forget the big picture here, too. I don't know in the last 30 games or so what our record is, but I think if you take that record, there you go. I think we're pretty high in the Eastern Conference, So you're allowed to lose, too. I think it's about consistency and take the good things out of losses. But even when you win, you're supposed to get better, too. Like, I don't need to lose to get better, you know what I mean? Like, I hate that saying. So even though this stings, like, I think, like the guy said, we're locked in. We want to get better, and I think you can see that over the last 30 games, and really embracing this day-to-day process regardless of wins or losses.